Hi everybody and welcome to the MoneyMan Show. This edition, the good, the bad and the ugly in the Premier League. I've got Oliver Keohane, I've got Shakes Rampedi, and I'm Kevin Ferguson. Shakes, how are you, mate?
I'm good, and how are you guys?
Living the dream.
Strong.
Right. You almost got a fresh one, eh? Let's get into this segment is good, the bad and the ugly. So let's talk about what you took away from this weekend's Premier League, the good, the bad and the ugly. Shakes, take it away, mate.
Yeah, so I want to start off by saying the very good, like very good, not just good, is Liverpool's performance. I think they were really, really good. I think that's going to be hard to sort of stop this team from winning the Premier League. I have to say that for sure. If I was to say what is the bad, I would probably have to say the handballs, the number of handballs that happened over the weekend. Some of them were very harsh. Some of the calls that they made, especially the one in the Crystal Palace and Everton game on Ward. I didn't understand how is that a handball. He had no intention to he had no intention of stopping the ball with his arm, and he didn't even see it. And then as for the ugly, I'm actually going to go with a different one and say West Ham versus Wolves. That was an ugly scoreline for Wolves. I've never, since Nuno's come up with Wolves, I've never seen them beat like that. And when I say beat, I'm talking about they were outplayed massively so. And I'd say that's mine.
Ollie.
I want to be in agreement with Shakes here. For me, it was Liverpool's performance. I'm a Liverpool supporter, and I'm feeling guilty for not just outright backing them.
No, that's a big up to Shakes, because Shakes is an Arsenal fan. You're just jumping on your team's bandwagon. Go ahead.
I think it's just.
I wouldn't expect anything else from someone 20. Go on.
I think I was watching the Arsenal Liverpool game, and I said 2-1 to Liverpool. I think in our video.
You did.
And I was watching them play, and I just thought this is just such a brilliant side. They're so enjoyable to watch. They click so well. There's such good chemistry here. Even if they're 1-0 down, got the sense that they're controlling the pace of that game the whole time. They're never worried. And yeah, good for me is just that they were a pleasure to watch. And kudos to Arsenal though, because I thought Arsenal were really enjoyable to watch too, even though the result didn't go their way and there was a very clear difference of class. I enjoyed what they were trying to do and the fact that they stuck to it. So they were pushing up from the back a lot of the time. They were letting Liverpool come forward and then kind of relying on their defenders to come in and make those last tackles. But they were doing that up until 90 minutes, So it was a great game of football for me to watch. So probably, that game and Liverpool's performance was my good. Bad for me, sure. Yeah, probably Wolves as well. I mean, that was bad on twofold. Just because I put down 200 Rand on that, and that 200 Rand, I think, dropped to sort of a 2 Rand cash out within 10 minutes. Wolves just got pumped and makes absolutely no sense. But for me, the ugly is the handballs, because I don't like what it's doing in the context of sport. I wrote a piece for 442 saying that the contest is characterized by 90 minutes, and what makes it even more enjoyable is there's that 5, 6, maybe 10 minutes if you're Manchester United sort of period that, a team can then win it in extra time, and it makes it such a great contest for a viewer to watch. But what completely detracts from that, for me, is illegitimate penalties that are happening in extra time. And I say illegitimate because they can be milked. So you look at Newcastle, in that last 4 minutes of extra time, all they were doing was hoofing the ball into the box, knowing that it's going to hit a defender who's trying to defend, and knowing that the VAR is going to review it, and it's probably most likely going to be a handball, because the way that the Premier League's interpreted it at the moment is that there's no room.
So do you disagree? Do you disagree with it being a handball?
I disagree with the Newcastle one being a handball.
Was that the one with like this?
No. That he was like that, and it hits him on the elbow there.
Do you think any of these players will go in for voluntary amputation of their arms?
Well, I mean, they spoke to, I can't remember which manager. I think it was the Aston Villa manager, and they said, "Have you spoken to your players about how to counter this?" And he said, "No, I haven't, because how do you counter this? You have to, as a defender, you have to jump. So I must basically tell them to then not defend if we're going to be trying to find a tactic to counter this, because at the moment it's pretty much a guaranteed penalty. You hoof it into a defender above his waist. Every authority is saying when you jump, when you're defending, your arms come up naturally. It's a natural thing.
It's a natural reaction, but your arms don't have to stay in the air. I mean, when you power yourself off the ground, you usually power with your arms coming down.
But this is where...
So I understand his point, but I mean, look, a handball is a handball. They've made a change, and it's great. I think it's. I love all the goals. I mean, it's to me. I love all the goal scoring.
Yeah,
but
I think there's a bit of...
You lost 100 rand or whatever, and you just
No, look, I mean, I ended up, I had Manchester United in a multi-bet, and I would have lost straight away on that multi-bet had they not been awarded that penalty at the end. I thought that one was fair. I thought he was clearly...
Did you think the 10 minutes of extra time was fair, though?
No, because it should have ended 2-1 to Manchester United at 90 minutes, but... yeah, for me, just the one, I made it in our previous video, the one point that they've projected that if the penalty count from handballs carries on at this rate, we'll have 88 penalties for handballs this season. It's currently sitting at 6. In the 2017-2018 Premier League season, there were 6 over the entire season. So yeah, there's a discrepancy there, and I think interpretation needs to come back into it, you know?
Well, I hope it continues, and I hope that they keep, you know, if you handle the ball in the box, you know, unless it's a 2-yard away shot where you can't get your hand out of the way. But then, you know, one of the things is you shouldn't be defending like this. You've got to defend with your hand behind your back. But that's my opinion. I don't want to take away. So that, sorry.
That's your good from the weekend.
No. My good, you know, I'm a Leeds fan, so I'll be very tempted to be like you and choose Leeds as being good. And that's another clever way for me to get that in there. But my good is Everton. You know, I like what Ancelotti's doing. I like Calvert-Lewin. I love James. I mean, and apparently he's got such an incredible personality and influence on the change room. I like what Everton's doing there, and having them strong again is good for football. The bad for me was Man City losing 5-2. I mean, you know, you just shouldn't lose at home 5-2 to anybody. If you've got those title aspirations. And you can see by the way that the bookies have reacted. Liverpool are now odds-on favourite, and Man City have drifted out to 2.5 to 1. The ugly for me, you might be surprised, is that, what's the best way to couch this? That prick of a man, Mourinho. You know, his team's fighting for every point that they can get. They give up a late penalty, and he just walks into the tunnel. I mean, he just thinks he's above the game. And for me, that, you know, I didn't see him shake the other manager's hand, which is, you know, I want people that lead me or to influence me to be people that show integrity, that show grace, that aren't think that they're bigger than the game. So for him to skulk off with time still going on, you know, they could have snatched a late goal to win it. But he's just so narcissistic.
Everybody.
So that to me was the ugliest thing, seeing him walk down the tunnel while his team's still playing. It shows complete lack of leadership, complete lack of class. I've got no time for the guy, and I hope he's the first guy fired, like he's been fired many other times.
What? Whoa. Are you okay, man?
I just don't like the arrogance and the narcissism of the guy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree in terms of him having to walk off before the game was done, and the Tottenham. I mean, I know the handball came through and it's not right and it's emotional and it's last minute, but Tottenham actually have themselves to blame for not winning that game because they had countless chances before that even happened. And I just love how even Steve Bruce played it regardless, because the game had ended. I think he was looking for Jose, but
Jose gone off sulking. I mean, to me, Shakes, that typifies why he's not relevant anymore as a coach. You know, he's paid a lot of money to coach that team. Not for 88, not for, you know, if the game lasts 93 minutes, you can't go off after 90 minutes. He's still paid to coach that extra 3 minutes. And you just never know in sports what can happen. But again, to not shake, you know, to not be there to shake the Steve Bruce's hand, to not, that separates him and from the Klopps of the world. You know, would you ever see Klopp walking into a tunnel? Never. He'd be the first guy to encourage his team coming off the field, and that's why you've got class in Klopp and you've got a classless individual in Mourinho, for me. So he was my ugly this weekend. I don't know if I got my point across, but
uglier than everything else.
It up. You got it on point, man.
So that's the good, the bad, and the ugly for this week. Next week we'll have another show. We'll do the same thing, and hopefully Mourinho will stay on the sideline, and I won't have to go have a rant at him again. But thanks for indulging me, guys. You know, that's a beautiful thing about youth. They get such respect for old toppies like me. It's great.
Always.
Anytime, Kevin. Anytime.
Thanks, Shakes,
Cheers,
as always.
Shakes.
Cheers,
I
man.
appreciate it, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Sweet.